Hello everyone and welcome to another team preview. We've got two out of the way, so we're going to jump over to the Boston Uprising. I should not have given chat this command to tell me to shut up. Chat, let's just not use it, okay? Unless it's incredibly necessary when I'm talking, okay? Otherwise, you're going to throw me off. So let's talk about the Boston Uprising. This is a team that is going to be...
Shut up, Scott.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another team preview. The real one this time, because chat couldn't behave themselves. Chat, you know what you did, okay? This is all your fault. You could have had good moments, and you decided to throw it in the bin early on. Talk about throwing things in the bin, let's find out if the Boston Uprising and Pre can lead this Boston Uprising franchise, which has been incredibly unsuccessful in the Overwatch League, to finally a successful season. But they have a lot of players that, to a lot of people, are controversial in are they going to be able to be successful this late in a lot of their careers, because they picked up a roster that, if they signed in 2020, would have been considered one of the best rosters in the league. So let's talk about it. They have Birdring, Striker, and Decay on DPS. Just absolutely ridiculous. Then you got Tank, only Smurf, and Kalios. Sorry, I didn't mean to say only Smurf. You only need Smurf, but they added Kalios later after the initial announcements to just sort of round out some of those things. Smurf will be the main tank. Kalios will be the off-tank. I would expect to see a lot of Smurf other than in hard off-tank metas, just because of the accolades and the success that Smurf has had in his career. Then in the support line, we have Lee Jae-gon, Izayaki, and Twilight, which is just... As I said, if you told me that lineup in 2020 or 2021, you would be absolutely out of your mind. And here's to say, it's not like these players are bad by any means, right? But the question that a lot of people have, including myself, is what is the peak of these players going to be? Because to a lot of these guys, this is, their third or fourth season in the league. They've been around for a very long time. They have a lot of veterans in this roster, and they've all had varied success. For me, the thing that sticks out the most is, Birdring is unretiring. He didn't just play recently. He's been a player who has sort of come back and forth on his enthusiasm to play the game, but he's come back for the Boston Uprising. So how is he going to transition back? Every time he seems to have done this, he comes back stronger. Is he going to be able to pull that off again? Striker, someone who has retired more times than I can count at this point, has come back to play for this Boston Uprising squad. Just recently, he played for the San Francisco Shock at the back end of the season, getting signed by Custa because of his experience in the playoffs. And he was instrumental in the San Francisco Shock run through those playoffs, being able to play that Reaper. He is known for that Tracer, Reaper, that aggressive style, but just a very smart player as well. But is he going to be able to make it through an entire season? I think he started the season on Boston last year, right? Yeah, he started on Boston just last year and retired before he even really played, half of the season. We expected him to blow up, and he actually did. But let me put a caveat on this as well. I actually remember talking to some San Francisco Shock people after the grand finals that happened most recently, and a lot of them had said Striker has changed as a player. He's a lot more reformed. He is more willing to listen. He isn't baby raging as much and causing disruption that we've heard rumors of on his previous team. So is he going to be able to stay like that? It's easy to be humbled and come into the game late with San Francisco Shock, where you have a chance to potentially win the whole thing and have that respect for your teammates. Is he going to be able to keep that now that he's on a team where he is probably one of the most successful players on this roster? He's got multiple rings. He has a lot of accolades to his name. Is he going to be able to stay level-headed? Speaking of level-headed as well, Decay. Another player who has had a very tumultuous past within the Overwatch League. Started on the Dallas Fuel. Well, actually started on the Gladiators, but had a lot of his stint on the Dallas Fuel and was expelled in a whirl of fire around Crimso and Decay. There's a lot of rumors going around that Decay was not trying in scrims, that he was intentionally not playing, so has some attitude problems of his own, we've seen bits and pieces of that in Washington Justice. There's been speculation over issues. The one that comes to mind most recently was in the kickoff clash that happened in Dallas. When Washington Justice went to that tournament in Dallas, they didn't play Decay, their star player, and there was rumors that Decay wasn't confident in himself. But in those situations, you need to be the one stepping up as the star player, and he just didn't. So that raises more questions than it really answers at this point, and that's a lot of people's concerns with this roster. The DPS trio of legends, some of the greatest players to ever touch the game of Overwatch, and now in Overwatch 2, are they going to be able to at least just ride out a season? They have a lot of talent around them. There shouldn't be too many things that they should be upset about. But I think if they start having issues earlier on in the season, you could see the devolution of the Boston Uprising. So DPS line is stacked, but with a lot of question marks. Then let's talk about the tank line. Smurf is just one of the best tanks to ever touch the game. He is great. People only have nice things to say about him. I don't even really think I need to go too much in depth with him. Obviously, a disappointing season last season with the Seoul Dynasty. They didn't really get as much success, especially towards the back end of the season, as a lot of people expected from that roster. But he will be a big player. He is a main tank, and they have filled that out with Kalios. Kalios has really struggled to have any traction as a career in the Overwatch League. I think he's a good off-tank player, and he's stepped up bits and pieces, but he just hasn't been on a good roster. He originally came into this league on the New York Excelsior in the 2021 season, where that team just wasn't very good. He traded a little bit of time going back and forth. Then last year was on the Washington Justice, another team that heavily struggled. So Kalios, I think, is one of those players who we don't really know what to expect, because he could just be a good player stuck on bad teams, or maybe he is one of those players that just leads to that failure as a team. We don't really have the truth to that. I think he will be a good fit for this team. I expect to see Smurf primarily played, but if there is a time for Kalios in a hard off-tank meta, he will come in for that. He started on Uprising in 2018. Well, okay. Yeah, no, sure. If you want to go all the way back there, I'm more talking about recent success. And then the backline. So we have Twilight coming in from the Toronto Defiant, who he's been a superstar ever since he joined this league, starting on the Runaway squad in 2019 on the Vancouver Titans, and then having success on the San Francisco Shock. He is just one of the best flex supports that we've had play through this league. He unfortunately hasn't really had a team around him as of recent. Obviously, Toronto Defiant really struggling last season, but still a great pickup. You know, Avast sings his praises from the rooftops, as he says he's like a top 3 flex support of all time. And it's hard to argue with that sometimes, especially on his signature heroes like Zenyatta and Ana. So Lee Jae-gon and Izayaki have made their way across the pond. These players have played for the Shanghai Dragons through all of their success in 2021 and 2020, all the way back there. But last year with the Shanghai Dragons did not have a lot of success. How much of that you can attribute to the Shanghai Dragons as a whole, or you're looking at the support line? I think the support line struggled. I think they have a very unique style. Izayaki's a very aggressive flex support player. Lee Jae-gon's also a very aggressive player. When they weren't able to be playing in that way, they struggled. And maybe that's the Overwatch 2 style sort of changing how they have to play the game, because supports are a lot more exposed without an off-tank to protect them, especially Void at that. So do Lee Jae-gon and Izayaki still have it? I think a lot of us assume the answer is yes, but they did just struggle in this most recent season. So overall, where do we think this Boston Uprising backline is at this point? Because, you know, your guys are talking about it in chat. Violet Shu, we got oh god, you guys are gonna really put me on. You got Violet Shu for the Houston Outlaws. At the Gladiators, you got, you know, Funny Astro, you got Lastro, you got great players all over the place. You got Finn and Vindame at the San Francisco Shock. Everyone has stacked backlines. So where does this one sort of stand off? I think it's really going to come down to, can Lee Jae-gon, Izayaki, and Twilight all hit their previous peaks in which they've been at once? And that's the story for this whole Boston Uprising team. They have 0 rookies on this roster. They are veteran players. And in the Overwatch League overall, I think we've been trending towards rookies have had more success than veterans over the last couple of seasons. I think this new talent being bred and coming through the new generation has started to overwhelm the veteran presence. And we've seen players who are going towards the back half of their lifespans and their careers as players, and they just lose interest in trying to accomplish and be the best. And that leads to poor results. So is this roster going to be energized and all be hyper-focused on winning a championship? That's the primary goal. Or are some of them going to sort of relax and be like, hey, we have a good roster. We can be middle of the pack easy and we're just going to have fun with it, right? That's the big question that I have for these guys. Are they going to want the chip? Is that what they're all fighting for? A couple of these guys have already won chips. A couple of these guys are desperately seeking it, like players like Decay. So I want to see overall how they're going to gel as a team, because there's a lot of personalities here as well. So the talent is there. And I know we hate to say that line in the Overwatch League, but the talent is there. You cannot doubt all of their histories. At one point in time, in all of their careers, maybe other than Kalios, you could say that these guys have been top 3 in their role easily. Now, in 2023, in the era of Overwatch 2, are they going to be able to pull that out again? We will have to wait and see. And that's the Boston Uprising. Personally, I think that they'll end up around 5th or 6th. I think some of the other players and teams have sort of been alluding to that as well. As much as I think they will have the opportunity to compete for the title, they might fall short against the likes of the Houston Outlaws, the San Francisco Shock, and great teams like that. But they will be an exciting team to watch. I'm a Boston fan, honestly. You put these names together, they are legends of the game. And being able to just see them sort of work together, it'll be fun nonetheless. So let me know what you guys think about Boston Uprising. Do you think that they are going to be a top team? What do you think their peak is? And do you think they're going to have that drive to win it all? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel as well. If you want to see more of these, I'm going to be pumping these out. We're getting closer to the Pro-Am. It's happening this month in about 3 weeks. So I got a bunch more of these to come out, and then we will be doing our power rankings after that. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.